First round games a season ago. The Big Red got all the way to Memorial Day. Penn reaching the quarterfinals. And Cascadon wins the opening draw. Cornell will push early. They scored 20 last time out against Yale, and just like that, the Big Red on the board first.
The hot streak continues. 20-10 win over the Bulldogs last week. Up 8-2 in that game early. Cascadon, the freshman from Garden City, Long Island. He's big for a Fogo, 6'3", 200 pounds. He wins it out the front side, and now this Yale attack is whole again with Michael Long, Billy Coyle, C.J. Kirst, and you'll see some Brian Piatelli down low as well.
Piatelli with the opening tally. He was starting on attack until Michael Long returned from injury last week. And Cornell now 2 for 2 on the faceoffs. Here's C.J. Kirst. He's worked on his right hand, a natural lefty. Piatelli at X. So Michael Long not starting today. We're seeing Piatelli back there on attack. Spencer Wertheim, 31 in white, part of the first midfield for Cornell. Being checked by Matt Palazzi. This Penn defense likes to pack it in. They force you to hunt shots from the outside. Here's Hugh Kelleher. He's got a hammer from the outside, and now Kirst. Piatelli marked by Ethan Till, gives it up. 25 to shoot.
You see Penn splits on defense, really tight as you referenced. They pack it in, take away the paint. It almost looks like a zone.
Kirst up top. It's on the ground, scooped up by Lavelle. Brendan Lavelle, an All-American last year, looking for Ben Smith. Smith had 4 goals last time out against Princeton. He's made 6 of his last 10 shots.
It's good defense from Penn. They've been playing stout defense. Opponents are only scoring about 10 goals a game on them. As I said, they'll pack it in. Key for Cornell to get some ball reversal. Meanwhile, I'd love, Anish, to see more transition out of Penn this year. They're not really running the way they did a year ago from defense to offense or off face-off wins.
Yeah, they've been banged up at times. Sam Hanley feeding Tynan Walsh his second goal of the season, and the injuries for Penn, the big one, Dylan Gergar going down. He was one of their starting attackmen, and Tynan Walsh has filled that role. He gets on the board first for Penn.
And one thing we'll talk about today is Penn's lack of Dodgers, not named Sam Hanley. But don't label Hanley just a go-to-the-goal type guy. His vision, his passing acumen is elite from the midfield. And guys like Ben Smith, Tynan Walsh, and Cam Rubin will feast.
The goal.
Penn wins its first face-off. It's Edward Arnold off the ground. Mike Murphy told us last year Penn hunted more in transition, found some early offense. That has not been the case this year. It's been a lot of 6-on-6, too much for their head coach's liking. It's an offense still figuring out its identity. Gabe Fury, one of their top midfielders, battled through a hamstring early on. Gergar's out for the season. A lot on the shoulders of Big Sam Handley. Here's James Shipley, two-way midi out of Weddington, North Carolina. Now Handley, who will rarely leave the field. Nice feed inside. It comes back to Shipley. Bouncer saved by Chase Erlin, who's coming off back-to-back games with 21 saves. Penn controls the rebound, and the shot clock resets. Good matchup
Adler,
there with Handley.
Yeah. You see the size difference, but Adler just sits down low and plays his hips.
Shipley passes pass, knocked down by Adler. Bounce shot too high. And it will stay with Penn. Ben Smith to trigger.
Quakers are 3-3. They've been playing in tons of close games, low-scoring close games, long possession type games.
They've been, over the last 2 years, the best entertainment dollar in lacrosse. On the doorstep, nifty move. It's Walsh with his second. Couple of dekes to get Chase Erlin out of his shoes, and Penn's got a 2-1 lead.
Second chance possession by Penn on the Erlin rebound. They get the restart, the reset of the shot clock, and it starts with a wing dodge from Shipley. Draws the double team. That's critical, because then Walsh on the backside has the defense in disarray. Right there, the double team is drawn. The recovery from Cornell, there's a moment of hesitation, little stick fake by Walsh. Defense is in a buying mood, and Penn celebrates. So good team offense by the Quakers.
Walsh, coming into the game, had only taken 3 shots all season. He scored the first 2 goals for Penn. Face off.
We see Walsh with that knee brace, and you know, flash back to last year when Walsh was becoming a real player for the Quakers in his freshman year. Hurt that knee in the Ivy League tournament when we were up in Providence, while hustling on a ride. Yeah,
missed scrimmages, and they're trying to get him going here in the second half of the regular season. Billy Coyle played midfield last year, now back to attack. That's his natural position. And when he and Michael Long are on the field together, it gives Cornell 2 quarterbacks. And then you've got C.J. Kirst, who can win a one-on-one matchup. Here's J.J. Lombardi. Coyle using the pick from Kirst, has the short stick matchup. Coyle's got great shake. Palazzi stays with him. Coyle, tough angle. Battle, and Kirst had it for a moment. He hits the turf. Still on the ground, no flag. And Piper Bond out of the melee. And we get a whistle.
Match up here. Ball's back on the back line here. Ball's back on the back line.
Goalie Emmett Carroll's had a really spectacular season so far. 58%, was an unknown quantity. Junior from Rye, New York, taking over. First year as a starter. While he flops sometimes and other times he tends to lock up on the pipe, he has been terrific. I love his size, I love his poise, and he's shown a lot of courage in some close games.
What did Sam Handley tell us? He makes our lives miserable in practice. That one got a piece of Erlin. Shot from Hugh Mullane, good-looking sophomore out of Washington, D.C.
Georgetown Prep, he's got 5 goals on the season. He's flashed on tape. Tall, he's a horse. He can get downhill on you. He's a big component going forward for the Quakers.
He's worked a lot with Sam Handley, similar builds. Cam Rubin forced back. This is Mullane. He scored in 4 straight games. Split the double for a moment, then had it jarred loose. Robert Shane now. Still plenty of time to shoot. Penn will take its time. Casey Mulligan, his cousin Rob, a standout goalie at Syracuse. Bounce shot and a score for Penn. Robert Shane, 9th goal of his career, 5th this season, and it is 3 straight by the Quakers.
That's big, because how many possessions in the course of a game will Sam Handley be sitting on the bench? I was scanning the field and saying, where's 26? Where's 26? I don't see him. There's no 26. How is Penn going to score without 26? Well, they're just fine. They get it behind the goal to Shane, the senior from Bullis. 9th point of the season, balanced stats, and I like the set here. Offensive coordinator Mike Abbott designs it so his midfielder is behind the net, covered by a shorty in a single invert situation. He's able to curl top side. So good design and execution.
A face-off violation on Cornell and cascaded. Oh, Quint with Penn. You almost don't want to look at the record. You see 3-3. But when you look at who they play, and it's not this year. Mike Murphy always schedules a heavyweight lineup.
I made the mistake of looking at their stats, which are about as ugly as it gets. I mean, 41% facing off, 19 unassisted goals after 6 games.
Then you look at who they play.
They're losing the ground ball battle on a weekly basis. They do clear the ball well, and they're making a lot of saves. But there's some things that jump out at you. You're like, well, they're 3-3. They could be 5-1. They could be 1-5. That's what type of year it's been. Like, every game has been a overtime 1 or 2 goal margin, minus their loss to Penn State.
15 of Penn's last 22 games have been decided by 2 goals or less. 10 of the 22 have been decided by 1. 7 have gone to overtime, including last week against Princeton.
So that's 1/3 of their games goes to overtime. 2/3 of their games comes down to like the last 5 minutes.
That's right. Listen, from our perspective, that's great.
They do schedule heavyweights, and you know, I thought last year they ran out of gas a little in the NCAA tournament. It'll be interesting to see depth-wise. Are they playing more people? Well, that last possession would say yes. They'll need to play more people when the temperature heats up.
Coyle's shot saved by Carroll.
Tough
Carroll's
to find the
together.
seams and get inside this defense. They do just a good job of kind of forming a tight circle around the net.
So what does Cornell want to do in terms of attacking this D?
Ball reversal off the initial attack.
Kelleher whiffs.
Yeah, from 10 yards, he put himself in a position to get double teamed.
And there's Lavelle off the ground. And now Smith.
Anish, I think it's notable. I have not seen Michael Long on the field yet for Cornell. Maybe I missed him. But
you haven't seen him.
One in white. I mean, he was the difference maker last week, and not a good sign that he hasn't played yet today, or I haven't seen him. I don't know.
He missed the first 5 games with an injury, came back last week, had a hat trick and an assist against Yale in that 20-10 shellacking. Yale's given up 20 goals now in back-to-back games. They got torched by Princeton yesterday. There's a hard shot, and it's Cam Rubin. He scored 11 goals in his first 4 games, had not scored a goal in his last 2. It's 4-1 Penn, 4 unanswered by the Quakers, 3 different goal scorers. And this attack that we've been waiting on from Penn has 3 of the 4 for the Quakers.
Kids are so expensive, Dad. Now Katie needs braces.
Maybe try switching your car insurance to Progressive. You could save hundreds.
I don't know, Dad.
Maybe try switching your car insurance to Progressive. You could save hundreds.
It's a great idea, TV Dad.
But I said the exact same thing.
Someday when you're a father, you'll understand.
I'm his father.
It's not a competition.
Listen to your TV Dad. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save nearly $700 on average.
Connor Busick turns 30 this summer. Last year, he led Cornell all the way to Memorial Day. And if that game against Maryland in the championship had gone on for another couple of minutes, we would have been talking about one of the great upsets in the history of college lacrosse. Mike Murphy winningest head coach in the history of Penn lacrosse. And Quint, this Penn team has been so close 2019, they lose that heartbreaker in overtime against Yale in the quarters. Last year, down to the wire in the quarters against Rutgers, ran out of gas. With this team and with the experience they had going into the season, you kind of felt, and what will be Sam Handley's last year as a Penn Quaker, this might be the year that Penn gets back to championship weekend. The last time they were there, we saw Air Gate.
Yeah, I was in college. That was a long time ago.
1988. Taylor Swift was not even born.
What's most impressive, earlier I talked about Penn's lousy stats and how they look like garbage on paper. Like, this is a 3-3 team. They don't do anything particularly well. But this team shows up every week.
How about C.J. Kirst, 5-hole, beating Carroll low, and he gets one back for Cornell.
That's a spot, right? I mean, that is his spot. First day of practice, coach comes out and says, C.J., where's your favorite spot? Where do you want to operate? Where do you want the ball? Well, it's that high wing. They get a switch. The pick is effective. He's on a shorty. He steps in. There's no closeout because he's being covered by a defensive midfielder. And you see the reaction from head coach Connor Busick, who was a fine attackman in high school at St. X in Cincinnati and then became a great midfielder for the Big Red.
Kirst, 4.5 goals per game. That is tops in Division I. And off the ground, it's Cornell, Christopher Davis, the sophomore.
Kirst is sitting on a big day today. I got the feeling his brother Cole, who's taking a graduate year at Syracuse, is in the house today at Shalkoff Field. Sunday standalone game. I wouldn't be shocked if Michelle, his mom, is there as well.
Travel a little easier with both sons now only an hour apart, Syracuse and Cornell.
Well, she's chasing them all around the country. Caden is still in high school. Goalie, he's a junior. Back in Jersey, verbal to the Scarlet Knights and Rutgers.
That's where the Kirst's late father played goalie. There's C.J. Kirst. Not much of a opening there.
Nice handle by Carroll. Really good job by Emmett Carroll. The save is quality, but he's on the rebound first. You know, as a goalie, you give up a rebound, a long rebound. You're the first guy who knows where that ball's going to be. You should have a two-step advantage to that grounder, and that's what Emmett did there. And then he makes an athletic play in space.
Carroll, the junior, out of Rye, New York. 18 out of 25 against Georgetown, 21 of 30 against Villanova. Erlin saw that all the way. And let's see if Cornell can go quickly. The outlet was dropped momentarily and recovered by Andrew Dalton.
That's the type of save that Chase Erlin will move forward off of. He's had a sensational season at 60%, playing with urgency now as a senior, playing with confidence after what was a pretty inconsistent 2022 campaign.
But Q, I thought he was excellent in the postseason. He had a bit of a rough stretch mid-season.
What do you think,
and by the end of the season, yeah, his last 5 games of the year, I mean, he was right around 60% last year and was a big part of their championship run.
I give him a lot of credit. I give the staff a lot of credit, Coach Busick, Coach Jordan Stevens. Because remember, midway, 3/4 of the way through the season, he actually got taken out of a couple games. A game at Army, I believe.
A game against Syracuse, and then there was a tipping point. A tipping point in a game against Princeton. That was the 21-20 game. Erlin really struggled in the 3rd quarter. And Connor Busick, this is where you see a young coach who just has the pulse and the feel of his team. Connor Busick told Chase Erlin, you're a guy, go win this for us. He played well in the 4th quarter in the 21-20 win against Princeton. That catapulted him to a strong postseason.
Look at this scrum. This is like rec league. You got like 9 guys over there. Cornell doing a good job of jamming the middle of the field. They challenged Hanley physically. They got a rousing applause from their bench. And then they floated the ball. You know, one thing when you see the Big Red play, like Anish, one thing I've learned from playing them and watching them play, they bring it. This is a proud program.
Carroll with the big denial on Coyle, who can't ride it back. B.J. Farrar up ahead. Let's see if this is an opportunity for Penn to go unsettled. Cornell milling in retreat. but they get back on defense. That's good transition defense by Cornell. We have not said Sam Handley's name a whole lot in this first quarter. Still have not seen Michael Long for Cornell. There's Handley. Driving down the alley. Picked up by Adler on the switch, and now a bounce shot by Rubin is blocked, and off the ground to Walker Wallace. Cornell pushing transition. Nobody picked up the ball till it was too late, and Michael Bozzi scores the first goal of his career.
The Boz man. Watch this shot gets blocked. It hit Smith, Ben Smith, and Cornell's off to the races with that turnover high in the zone. Defense doesn't respect Bozzi. Turn and rake. Watch him sniff this out. Really patient. Like he wants to pass it. He wants to pass it. Suddenly he's in at 10 yards. I mean, that's a good look from dead center.
First goal of Bozzi's career, sophomore from the Haverford School. Angelo Petrakis wins the faceoff, and Cornell can hold for one final shot here in the opening quarter. The stakes are high in the Ivy. Last year, this league cleaned up in non-conference. It made their conference games essentially a platform for all the teams to boost their RPI, boost strength of schedule. They got 6 teams into the NCAA tournament. They're not getting 6 this year. Kirst has his shot blocked. This year there have been some hits and scars in non-conference, and these games in league now matter much more. Billy Coyle wide, and quarter number 1 comes to an end. Penn, the road warrior early. They used a 4-1 spurt to take a 3-goal lead. Cornell responded with Kirst and Bozzi. 1 quarter in the books in gorgeous Ithaca, New York. 4-3 Penn, your score.
LA's home to some great spots.
It's a true melting pot of some of the most diverse and delicious restaurants. We're about to have 2 very different adventures. So excited to be here.
It's so packed with flavor and salt, and it's got like slow roasted shredded beef inside. Yes, it's trivia night.
Your destiny is about to be found!
Yesterday, a big clash in South Bend. The football team for the Fighting Irish was there. Cold weather, had some snow, didn't matter. You had the Slim Reaper. 6 goals for Xander Dixon. Connor Schellenberger had 7 points. Thomas McConvey finding the back of the net. Virginia, after losing the prior week at home to Maryland and relinquishing its #1 ranking, goes on the road and knocks off #1 Notre Dame. Q, is Virginia your #1 team when you put your poll out?
They are. Yeah, they will be. I'm working on that this morning and tonight and all day today. Virginia at 7-1. You know, the question, Maryland 2, Notre Dame 2, either way. I got Duke at 4, at 9-1 right now. They have the top RPI in the country. And then if Cornell can hold serve here, I'm going to slide them right into 5. After that, to me, is where it gets really difficult. I think those 5 teams, with the Cornell win today, they're in that mix. They've kind of separated themselves from the pack.
Yeah, that looks to be the big 5. Is there anybody, and again, things change, right? Injuries happen, guys emerge. From that next group, is there anybody that you like that you feel has upside in April?
Well, Villanova, watching on tape this week, I was really impressed. And I was impressed with Penn State as well, watching them in person, on TV yesterday against Maryland. Got to send a shout out to Army. They lost 19 seniors last season. They're 7-1 right now. think Joe Alberici knows exactly what he's doing at Army. I don't know what their long-term prognosis is, but they deserve a lot of credit. And I'm seeing Penn State and Nova as being really improved teams.
Yeah, you want to talk about a big moment in the Ivy League. How about Dartmouth? Cornell evens this game at 4. It's C.J. Kirst with his second. That was simply, I'll win my matchup, and he does just that.
Big Red, it's not a switch. This is strength on strength. This is Lavelle, a righty, and Kirsch is just too strong. Watch him on the change of direction right here. He drops his hips, runs full speed up towards the middle of the field, and that's where the power in the hips and the shoulders and the strength, he's able to shoot through that check. Here's his bio. In talking to him, and in this time we spent with him last year, he's a strong young man. This is a guy who puts in about as much time in his craft outside the framework of practice, and I think that's a lesson for youngsters. Everybody goes to practice for 2 hours. Okay, what you doing beforehand? What are you doing afterwards? What are you doing on a Sunday today? You hitting the wall? You taking extra shots? Because C.J. Kirst is a guy who's putting in the extra time.
Cornell's got a little Cerberus at face-off. It's Petrakis, it's Cascadin, that was Silos, the third head. There's Aiden Blake. He was Cornell's top-scoring midi last year before getting hurt. Missed about 2 months, came back championship weekend. They feel he's about to get going and become another factor from that Cornell midfield. He's played a little first midfield, a little second midfield. Kirst, left hand free. And a first quarter hat trick for C.J. Kirst. Goal number 30 on the season.
Wow. This one, there's the fire. There's the passion, okay? He loves the game. You spend time with him, it's constant smiling. He's got a shorty on him who's pressing out. They switch to Bond, 54, who's a very good defender. Piper Bond, 54, could be a pro, a PLL, Premier Lacrosse League defender, but there's no shorty in the country that can stay with Kirst. Look at him spin. He sets up his left. He dekes down to that near post and then whips around to set up his strong left hand.
C. Kirst with 3 goals. He came in leading the nation in goals per game, 5-4 Cornell.
You know, CJ, you lost your father, Kyle, when you were only 12 years old. What do you miss most about him?
Definitely his voice and his laugh. My dad had a larger-than-life presence. He could light up a room. Every time I was with him, he was always able to make someone smile. I wish I could give one more big bear hug and say I love you.
The late Kyle Kirst, former goalie at Rutgers and the father of the Kirst boys. We have seen Mom Michelle on TV quite a bit. She's been the ultimate lacrosse mom, and I say that with the utmost praise, being there for her kids. And we'll get to see that full conversation with Kark and C.J. Kirst coming up at halftime.
The relaxants have been on target, really well chosen this year. We did one earlier in the week. Logan McGovern, North Carolina's transfer attackman from Bryant, who was diagnosed with CF when he was 3 months old. This is a young player who has fought through cystic fibrosis, and he had like 7 points that night. Kirst off to a great start. So any kind of jinx with the relaxant and Kark has long been wiped from the record.
We are told Michael Long is not in uniform. It was a game-time decision. That from the school. So Long, again, is a big part of this offense. Oh, Penn missed a golden chance there. They had crooked numbers.
When it comes to Michael Longinish, senior from Del Barton, who's played alongside Kirst since they were, high school sophomores?
Yeah.
Made his debut last week against Yale. He's a true rock star. This is a good team without Michael Long. This could be a great offense with him.
You saw it last week. They had Yale with their heads spinning. You have 2 quarterbacks now with Long and Coyle. Both of them demand a pole. You've got C.J. Kirst as Erlin throws it downfield. It's backed up by Cornell. That is a shot. That's what you do against a ride. Connor Busick telling us that long as a senior captain, he's a vocal leader. He can throw CJ to spots. And there's so much that he does that opens things up for everybody else on offense. And it speaks to how good this team is in how well they played when he was out.
Changes all the matchups. Penn's man-to-man defense at time will look like a zone. You see all those blue jerseys packed in inside the football hash marks, so to speak. Look how tight they are to the goal. They're all within 12 yards of the cage.
Woo! Helicopter check. Peter Blake took it away from Coyle.
Little yard sale on a beautiful Sunday in Ithaca, New York, where temps will hit 53 today. Spring's arrived up in central New York.
Easy. I heard it snowed over the weekend.
You see the snow drifts on the side of the field. Lucky this game was played on a Sunday, not a Saturday. Big difference. Here it is. Coyle's going to need a bungee cord.
Mullane's pass results in a turnover. Mike Murphy joked with us when you asked about penalties and turnovers, and he said, we got to clean some of that stuff up. We're too good in those areas right now, and he was being facetious.
29 penalties after 6 games. We played clean today, though, right?
They have. We have not seen a flag yet.
Look, penalties, like part of this Penn identity is they play physical, hard-nosed, tough lacrosse. And so there are going to be some penalties. It's the ones that are far away from your goal that is at the other end of the field that typically have to be avoided.
Here comes Lombardi, the senior out of Rochester. He's got the short stick. Here comes help. Now it's Till on the switch. Back up top, Andrew Dalton, junior from Canada. Second midfield getting run. Kirst feeding the wing, and there's Dalton. Guess you can call it the big red rifle.
Yeah, big
Aiden Blake gets it back.
That was a nice look. Ricocheted off the post, I believe.
Blake down the alley all the way, bounces it in. He got past his man, Quint. Nobody picked him up. And that's 4 straight, make it 5 straight for Cornell.
Aiden Blake's got a lot of talent. Deep been dealing with a knee injury, as you can see. As a right-handed step-down shooter off a ball movement, he's lethal. He scored righty on the run against Yale last week. And this is just kind of diversifying the depth of contribution now. As that knee gets better, his ball carrying skills become more robust. He becomes more capable. And there you see Coach Busick, who's extremely involved. He's basically the offensive coordinator. So Blake missed the fall. He missed a lot of preseason practice, scrapping off some of the rust. He's a senior. His trajectory will mirror Cornell's this season.
Last year, he was shooting 44%. He was the top scoring midfielder for Cornell before getting hurt. Came back championship weekend, ended up scoring a goal in the final against Maryland. This year, numbers down, shooting percentage below 20. A lot of that, to your point, Q, shaking off the rust.
Not easy, not easy. There we go. Hanley's been quiet, hasn't he?
I was just about to say, he had the 1 assist early and has not really been a factor other than that.
No, he's not on the field right now either.
Has not taken a shot. Here's Shane.
Was that him on the far side? That is him.
Adler shadowing him, and that might be a big part of it, Q. Here's Fury. Now Hanley going to work against Adler. Shot clock at 15. Handley from up top. Marked by Jack Follows, who came on the second half of last year. Sam Handley said, "You rang?"
I mean, he just when he's determined to get to certain areas of the field, it's almost impossible to stop him without two men. You see him zigging and zagging, in and out, puts his shoulder down and says, I'm getting to the middle right-handed, and does that. Runs right through, follows like he's not there, and gets to about 11 yards dead center and beats Erland. Sam Hanley from Portland, Oregon. We spent some time with him on Friday, a young, blossoming entrepreneur. And Anisha, we should tell the fans, like, he will graduate from Penn this year. He did not definitively tell us that he was done playing college lacrosse. Is that accurate, Anish, the way I phrased that?
Yes, he was very non-committal. He's got some business ventures he's working on. But he said, listen, there could be a chance where I feel after this year I'm done. But he left the door open to playing. And again, with the Ivy League, you get 4 years. So if he were to play next year, it could not be at Penn. And he would be the most sought-after player in the transfer portal, hands down.
Yeah, he's an entrepreneur developing a snack bar product. And he left open the door to playing pro or transferring somewhere else, getting a graduate degree in business or entrepreneurial studies, and continuing to play for a year. So I thought that was an interesting development.
He also brought up the other possibility. He might just work on his business next year. Here comes Piatelli. His brother John was a prolific goal scorer who graduated after last season. Kelleher to Billy Coyle, and Cornell gets it back, 7-5.
Coyle's had a strong early season. A lot thrown on his shoulders with the injury to Michael Long. This is just a case where Penn's defense, we talked about their tight splits. Watch how low they all end up. That's a 10-yard shot, and you see all the blue jerseys real tight. They'll give up this outside shot as part of their base defense, and Coyle makes them pay.
Quint, last year when Aiden Blake went down, we saw Coyle step up and become Cornell's top midfielder. He could dodge, he had to put a pole on him. This year, with Michael Long missing the first 5 games and then missing today, Coyle again moving to attack. He has become a guy that you can count on to initiate and to score.
Lefty senior from Malvern, super quick. He's got just an ankle-breaking change of direction. He's really fast. Was an invert midi last year. A classic program guy for Cornell. A team historically through the decades, I don't know if any other program that has produced more program-type players. Guys whose role grows, guys who they find a role to suit the strengths of a certain player.
You're right. If Michael Long can be healthy for the stretch run, what is a tough offense to defend becomes exponentially tougher. And how about Michael Bawsey, the short stick D-midi, staying on the field off the feed from Coyle. Bawsey scoring the first 2 goals of his career this afternoon.
The Boz man. CJ cursed. We were asking him about nicknames. I said, what's Bawsey? The Boz? He goes, no, the Boz man. Here he just sets down inside, and Penn loses their matchups for a second. You see the close defender was running away from Bawsey, assuming that the midi coming in the box was going to pick him up. Again, you got to call numbers. You've got to check up from the inside out.
Listen, 5 on the scouting report as an offensive threat was non-existent. Big ground ball on the faceoff. And it's going to be a push against Penn. Or a push against Cornell. And that'll be Penn ball. Connor Busick upset. Did not like the call.
Former high school football player, linebacker, St. X in Cincinnati. Was never shy physically on the field, was Connor.
He was a high school teammate in football and lacrosse of Luke Kuechly. Handley dumps it down to Fury. Here's Gabe Fury, fires, saved by Erland. Fury's another guy, Quint, He emerged down the stretch last year. He's been slowed early this year by a hamstring. That's another piece Penn has waiting to be unlocked.
A bit of a barometer for their success in April and May will be Gabe Fury. Big senior, 6'5", 220, okay? How many guys can roll out Sam Hanley, Gabe Fury, and Hugh Mullane? All 6'2", 210 plus, okay? Fury's got that lefty jump shot, the dangerous swim move, and he was really good towards the tail end of 2022.
That's the Amtrak line.
Only Virginia's got a line that can counter that. Schutz, Miezon, and McConvey.
Barty dancing, feeding the crease. Coyle turned away. Nice defense by Till. Now Blake working on the long pole. Keel. Kirst got bumped from the back. Was timeout called? Timeout was called by Cornell. So Connor Busick using the first of his 2 first-half timeouts. 21 seconds to shoot, 4:14 to go. Penn got off to a 4-1 start, then Cornell responded with 5 unanswered. And we mentioned Luke Kuechly being a high school teammate of Connor Busick's.
I had the opportunity to play with Connor for a year in high school at St. Xavier, and we didn't know if we were going to get Connor or not. Luckily, he came to our high school, and the moment he stepped on that field, he was, without a doubt, our best player. He played as an attackman. He had a great feel for the game. He was a goal scorer. But I think what really stuck out to a lot of us just was his overall intelligence around the game, his feel for the game, his ability to make other players better. So it hasn't been much of a surprise to us, the success that he's had at Cornell and obviously now coaching there as well. So he's got a great family. His mom, his dad, his brother and sister are great people, and there's no surprise the way that he's turned out and the success he's had.
So Quint, I worked with Luke Kuechly, and by the way, it's UE, not EU. You saw the graphic there. Worked with Luke Kuechly a lot this fall, covering Panther games. The amount of times we talked lacrosse, I can't count, where he brought up what kind of player Connor Busick was and how Luke would be the big guy with the long pole just throwing checks. And he said Busick was so cerebral, even then a coach on the field. I'm telling you, Luke had the highest of praise for Connor Busick. Told me he wasn't surprised one bit the success that he's having as a coach, even at this age.
I was blown away by what we saw. Cornell was staying in our hotel last year during championship weekend, so we got a really up-close look at the Cornell staff, the players, in and around their meetings. Connor Busick's not 30 years old yet. He's in his second season, third year at Cornell after Peter Milliman moved to Johns Hopkins. Took over during COVID, basically. Tough time. I can't remember in any sport seeing a leader under the age of 30 be as successful as Busick.
Meanwhile, C.J. Kirst has been unstoppable. That's 4 in the first half for C.J. He's had big games this season. 6 against Albany, 7 against Hobart, 4 against Ohio State, 5 against Yale last week, and he's been a one-man maelstrom against Penn.
What did he tell us on Friday when we spoke to him? He said, I've been working on my right hand. I said, CJ, since last summer at Ireland, you were over there playing for Team USA with your brother Cole. I said, yeah, I put in a lot of extra time working on my right hand. He dusts Lavelle, who's an all-Ivy quality defender, because Lavelle, in Lavelle's head, he's thinking he's going left, he's going left, he's going left. Well, he split left to right. See you later. I love it. I love it. Good look at Coach Busick. In the closer to the camera was Jordan Stevens, who I have immense respect for. He's the defensive coordinator for Cornell. A young, talented coach in his own right, who should be a head coach of a program within the next 2 or 3 years.
Here comes Gabe Fury now. Penn needs to find an answer. And Quint, what is that answer?
More Sam Handley. Got to be more Sam Handley.
Handley, 1 goal, 1 assist. Has not had the ball in his cross a whole lot. Penn moves it around. There's Handley. Adler matches feet. trying to get into the hands of Handley. Handley spins to his right, Reed dodges, shoots wide, Erlin dives, but it will belong to Penn.
Nicely tied up that time was Handley. It's a Penn team with only 19 unassisted goals coming in and make that 20.
That looked like Shipley coming down the alley. His
he can do that.
Will. Yeah, the running back at Clemson, and James Shipley's a great athlete who can beat his man off a dodge. His 5th of the year.
Shipley plays their two-way role, but he's got such enthusiasm. He's a selfless player, and he does have the athletic ability to make people look silly in space. This is a really nice move, how he sets up his right hand and leaves himself some angle. He's gotten more skill during his career. I think he's a pro prospect as a short stick defensive midfielder, but Penn needs him to score goals and to draw double teams.
Penn won the Ivy League tournament last year. Shipley was banged up, was not much of a factor in their postseason, and you have to wonder, could Penn have gotten to championship weekend last year with a healthy James Shipley?
He's their most athletic midfielder, and I said we need more Handley, but man, anytime they can start the offense with someone not named Handley and draw double teams. Okay, this attack's not really a dodging attack. So if Shipley can get some carry time, press seams, draw doubles, then you move the ball to Handley, I think everybody eats.
Here's Handley out there with Mullane and Shane, a couple of second-line midfielders. Handley lost his balance, gets it back up to Rubin from up top. Hugh the Hammer. Hugh Mullane, 5 straight games with a goal, and Quint, that started with the hockey assist by Sam Handley.
This is classic Penn this season. Hanley draws the eyes of the defense, and while Adler does a great job, he gets underneath him, he turns him, but the double is drawn momentarily. And then you see that, look at the spacing, how that third defender, 50 in white, had to step and help to the middle. That's all because of Hanley. The one more pass across the top. Righty rip, well placed to the off-stick side, low corner. Mullane's a player. He was flashed on tape, and we've seen it today.
Here comes Cascadden. All the way, fires on goal. Carroll the save. And the rebound comes to Ethan Till. Penn trying to close to within 1. Piper Bond, dad James Bond, won a championship at North Carolina. Also foiled Dr. No End Oric Goldfinger. Here comes Mullane down the alley. Now Tynan Walsh, who scored the first 2 for Penn. Mullane on the invert. Rolls around, gives it back up. Shipley back over to Mullane. Plenty of time to shoot. Mullane to the cage. Kick save and a beauty. Erlin follows, cleans it off the ground. He's double teamed. 3 Quakers in the melee, out of bounds. It'll stay with Penn. Shot clock resets to 80.
Terrific hustle. You called it too, Anish. They had 2 guys right on the ball right away off the follows potential cause turnover. The third attackman got there, and they outnumbered Cornell with the ball on the ground in the end zone.
And the shot clock resets to 80 because Follows had possession.
There's very little you can throw at Penn to get them off their game, you know? Like, this team been there, done that, you know, like close games, down 4, down 5, up 4, up 5. They're built to go 60, and they know every game's a battle.
They've seen it all. They play the toughest schedule in the country year in, year out. This year, strength of schedule number 2. Mullane can't handle the pass. Singer off the ground, flips it back toward the sideline.
Wow.
Adler can't keep it in.
Singer
10 seconds to go. Penn's got a timeout. Let's see if they use it.
Singer got crushed from behind, and there was no loose ball push call there. It just amazes me. He ends up flopping on his face. This is dangerous with Handley.
They add some time back, 10 seconds. And now we get a whistle.
Here's the push in the back.
I mean, that's clear as day. Here we go. Hanley feeding inside. Wow, what a save by Erlin. Final ticks, and the first half comes to an end. Chase Erlin building off of back-to-back games where he's had 21 saves. 8 saves in the first half by the senior captain.
Hockey goalie in high school from Victory, New York, and watch him shut down to the far pipe. He takes that step with his left foot, splits, and crushes the angle, pulling that one off the goal line extended, and a gem of a save by Erlin.
A lot of runs in that opening half. Penn opened the game on a 4-1 run. Cornell responded with 5 straight. Then Cornell scored 3 in a row to go up 9-5. Penn gets the final 2 tallies of the first half. 30 minutes in, pivotal game in the Ivy. A top 15 matchup in Ithaca. Tempers flaring, emotions high. And it's 9-7 Cornell. CJ Kirst with 4. Sam Handley with a goal and an assist.
It was me the whole time!
Well done, ma'am.
What did I do exactly?
With Snapshot from Progressive, you get a personalized discount for doing exactly what you're already doing, being a safe driver.
Congratulations.
This is a bowling trophy.
Yeah, it's the biggest one they had.
Okay, thanks.
Oh, and a good one.
Halftime at Cholcott Field. Cornell leads Penn 9-7. It's time for this week's Relaxin' with Peacock. Paul Carcaterra sat down with Cornell attackman CJ Kirst.
Christopher John Kirst, also known as CJ. Why do you always have a smile on your face, bud?
I think if you can bring a positive attitude every single day, it'll have an everlasting impact on the people that you're with.
You're one of 5 Kirst boys. All of you play lacrosse, and you're the second youngest. If all the Kirst boys were in a steel cage match, who would walk out on top and why?
Definitely Caden. Caden was the biggest WWE fan growing up. Knew every single wrestler, every signature move, and you know he may not be the biggest right now, but he's definitely really tough, and he would definitely come up on top.
You told me your experiences at Cardigan Mountain Lacrosse Camp as a kid were so impactful. Why is that?
It was always our family vacation right before football and school started. You know, hanging out in the dorm rooms with some of my best friends and my brothers, playing lacrosse at a camp where it doesn't matter how you're playing, you're just enjoying it. It was truly some of my favorite memories.
You know, CJ, you lost your father, Kyle, when you were only 12 years old. What do you miss most about him?
Definitely his voice and his laugh. You know, my dad had a larger-than-life presence. He can light up a room. Every time I was with him, he was always able to make someone smile. You know, I wish I could give one more big bear hug and say I love you, and that's definitely what I miss most about him.
If he was to watch you play now, what do you think he'd be most proud of?
I think he'd be most proud of just how happy I am. You know, I think making the decision to come to Cornell was a little different, but I couldn't be happier. Having the opportunity to play with my 50 best friends, you know, I think he'd be most proud of just how I have a smile on my face every day.
Your mother, Michelle, is an incredible person, and she does everything to get to all of her boys' games. When you see her in the stands, what goes through your mind?
I just think about how much she sacrificed for us. She's always been our rock. When she's there, it definitely gives me a little extra boost of motivation. You know, whenever I was little, she always told me just go out there and have fun and not to think about how the outcome's going to be. And that's the one thing that goes through my head every time I see her up there.
You played for Team USA in the Under-21 World Lacrosse Championships this past summer. What was it like originally being cut from the team, but then being the MVP of the World Championships?
It was very rewarding. I'll never forget coming back home and seeing the email. I wasn't going to go to the next tryout. You know, I'll never forget grabbing my stick and going to the backyard and remembering that feeling that I never wanted to go through that again. And then once I finally made it, I was super lucky to have the opportunity to play with my brother and play with some incredible players and people. Truly a rewarding process.
Describe the emotions of being so close to winning it all last year.
It's something that I'm reminded of every time I go on my phone. I have a picture on my phone. It's my screensaver of National Championship trophy, and we were right there. But you know, this senior class that we have this year knows that takes a little bit extra in order to hoist that trophy at the end of the game. So you know, you just got to take it day by day and never take a day for granted. And hopefully, we can make it back to that stage.
Yesterday, we built that for the second half.
Let's go. Lockdown's over.
It's unreal.
Some Cornell ties to New York City. City Lax recently created a middle school lacrosse program at a public school in Queens in honor of legendary Cornell player Eamon McEnany. On March 19th, current Long Island Riptide stars in the books. Cornell looking to go to 6-1. Penn trying to get above 500. They are 3-3 entering play, having played the second toughest schedule in the country. And Ishraf Quint Kesnick Q. CJ Kirst is putting together a Tewaaraton-worthy season. He came into the game averaging 4.5 goals, best mark in the country. He's got 4 in the first half.
When you think about CJ, you know, at times the ball's been in his pocket a lot. Well, in this game, I mean, every time he goes to the net, he's scored. He's shooting 4 of 6, okay? It's not like he's been relentless. He's just been really effective. And the ball's been shared amongst his teammates. And you see, he's got ownership of that wing area, whether it's a shorty on him, whether it's a pole, the versatility. We also saw him invert behind the net and split to his right. So impressed with what I'm seeing from him now as a junior.
Cascadon wins the first face-off of the second half.
That's a department, Anish, that Cornell now is, what, 13 face-off wins and only 6 losses. So good shooting. Erlin's winning the matchup by a small margin. Face-offs are now 13-6, and CJ's shooting 4 of 6, while Hanley has just 2 points.
And Cornell's used 3 different face-off men. Petrakis has taken 8, Cascadon 9, Silos 2. And Connor Busick says, we vary who we use based on matchups. They monitor usage. Here comes Billy Coyle, 2 points in the first half, a goal and a helper. Now Spencer Wertheim.
Interesting year in that the Ivy League doesn't have a dominant Fogo.
Well, Dartmouth does. And we saw what they did to Harvard yesterday, finally getting off the schneid, winning their first conference game since 2015. And again, you know,
yeah,
Dartmouth,
great scene for Dartmouth in their locker room afterwards. You know, they put in the time. And they're not like a free win anymore.
Yeah, they're not a pushover anymore.
No. I mean, Carolina tossed them to the sidewalk pretty easily on was that on Sunday, 25-7 or whatever it was. But they learned and moved forward off of that loss the next week, and they beat Harvard. So congratulations to Dartmouth in the Big Green. First Ivy win in a long time. Poor Harvard now. They're 3-5 since making the tournament a year ago.
Oh, great passing on the interior. And it's Ben Smith coming off that 4-goal game against Princeton, who finishes, and Penn closes to within 1.
Smith from Fury. This is left to right move by Gabe Fury at goal line extended, and he just jams that one to the backside. Most points, least amount of time with the ball in his stick goes to Ben Smith. He is the guy I followed when he was a high schooler. He's clutch. He's a big game. player. He was superb against Princeton, and he is king of the quick stick.
Last year in the first round against Richmond, he had the game-tying goal and the game-winning goal in overtime. 5 goals in all in that game, and now Penn with a chance to tie. Early offense is something they have not had much this season.
We haven't called B.J. Farrar's name much today. They're LSM 70 in blue. They've got good shorties in Piper Bond and Hilgartner and Canet and Palazzo.
Farrar back in 2019 was such a big part of their transition offense. Hands free, Hugh Mullane with his second. Freight train running downhill, get out of the way, we're tied at 9.
4 straight by Penn, dating back to that second quarter. Mullane's got 2 of the 4. We've seen Shipley score unassisted. Just much more impactful dodging. That's a pass and then a pick. That's an old school pass away pick, and Mullane's able to curl with his speed topside to the middle of the field. Penn keeping it simple and showing some offensive wrinkles that have been really effective today, considering they got 9 goals and Hanley's only been involved with 2 of them.
Third tie of the game. Sam Handley, when we spoke to him, was pretty adamant. It's easy to go to Handley when you talk about Penn. He's one of the biggest stars in the game. He's larger than life with his physique, and Handley told us a few times it's more than a one-man game, and we're starting to see other pieces step up for Penn. And Mike Murphy admitted to us, hey, for this team to go far and to fulfill its potential, Sam Handley needs help.
Yeah, he's going to draw the team's best defender and
a slide.
And a slide, okay? And he spoke to us about this being a team game, and sometimes it's complex. And look, Mike Murphy, Sam Handley, and the brain trust there of Mike Abbott and Doug Nider. Let me tell you, there's nobody working harder to try to figure this out offensively for Penn.
Meanwhile, Cornell retakes the lead at 10-9. That's Brian Piatelli, his second of the game, 9th of the season. Starting on attack again with Michael Long, missing a 6th game.
Yeah, we were led to believe that Long would start. Lombardi off the pick, that's the one more pass. So you get the Penn's defense rotational, and the pass across the formation and then down low. That's a really good team offense by Cornell. It was what they did well last year in their run to championship Monday. Making the extra pass on offense, keeping it simple.
Quint, how many times have we called a goal with a Piatelli on the crease for Cornell the last few years?
A ton.
C.J. Kirst, 4 goals in the first half, 5 last week against Yale. We'll give it up. Cornell has its personnel on. Wertheim spins it back to Ryan Sheehan. Now Hugh Kelleher shoots wide, the backup to Coyle.
What I love about this Cornell offense are the transitional players. That is, after the initial dodge, they don't hold on to the ball. It's in and out of sticks. And as I say that, the ball dies in a stick behind the net.
Here comes Wertheim around the bend, left hand, save Carroll. Rolling toward the sideline, Penn ball. Closest to the ball when it goes out. Awarded possession off a shot.
Carroll's got a good frame. 6'3" junior from Rye, New York. Righty, good size. Tends to flop. He was an unknown quantity coming into the season. He's been hovering slightly below 60% against the best competition in the country. So he's been magical.
The Penn schedule: Georgetown, Duke, Penn State, St. Joe's, Villanova, Princeton. They'll find me teams willing to play that schedule every year the way Penn does.
Good news is it builds callus, and this team is battle tested. Bad news is you don't get to develop your bench.
Ben Smith, save Erlin. Charlie Box off the rebound. A freshman from PA.
Trailer.
Had a couple of goals from its short stick D middies today. This is Davis.
Big time save by Erlin, and the rebound control by Box.
Penn got back in time. They'll pack in their defense as usual. Here comes Dalton. Feeds it back to X. Coyle. Piatelli's got the short stick Arnold. Now picked up by the long pole. Hard shot from the wing, and it finds the back of the net. It's Aiden Blake, his second of the game, his sixth of the season. A three-point afternoon for Blake, who had 2 goals last week, and boy, that's a great sign for Cornell if he's getting going and finding his form last year pre-injury.
Young players, watch this. Double team drawn on the corner. Across the formation, one more up top. Step down City. Terrific team offense. They press the corner, draw the double, change fields. Now the defense is on the carousel rotating. You make that one more pass in front, and Blake, that is his game. He's a righty step down shooter, but the credit to that goal goes to the first Dodger there who drew the double team. That is team offense to a T.
The last 2 goals for Cornell, Piatelli from Blake and Blake from Piatelli. 2 goals in the span of less than 2 minutes. 11-9 Cornell after Penn tied the game at 9 on the strength of a 5-0 run. Coyle dumps it back to Sheehan. Here's Coyle. He's got the short stick, Palazzi. Spencer Wertheim spins it back to X. Still plenty of time to shoot.
Nice D.
Kelleher. Penn packed it in. Darren Kelleher from the outside. And the former high school football star on the island makes it 12-9. Game of runs. One team goes on a run. The other counters. Now it's 3 straight by Cornell.
Cornell putting on a clinic. This is really good defense right here against Coyle. No double team needed, but Penn comes. They rotate behind it, but as you said, Anisha, just too condensed. The big man, Kelleher.
We like to use the media polls, the coaches' polls as a barometer. The reality is the polls don't matter. RPI is the metric the selection committee historically has leaned on heavily. Look at last year versus this year for the Ivy. What that means when you look at Princeton, Penn, Cornell, Yale, Brown, even Harvard, a top 15 RPI last year, you get into conference play, a win boosts your strength of schedule, it boosts your RPI. Losses don't hurt you all that much, if at all. This year, with the Ivy taking some dings and dents in non-conference, there are some losses that will hurt your RPI and your postseason chances. It's not a 6-bid league in 2023. Quint, how many teams from the Ivy do you see getting in? 2, maybe 3 this year?
2. Their champion, which is an AQ, automatic qualifier, and 1 other. And if I had to predict right now, I would say Cornell would be their champion, and I would say that 1 other will be Penn or Princeton.
Princeton's got work to do. They finally got a win against Yale last week. That was their biggest win of the season. Princeton entered the weekend with an RPI in the 30s. Beat Yale, which entered the weekend with a top 5 RPI. That will fall. I believe they're in the 10 to 15 range now.
Their defense is in the lower 70 range. Given up 20 or more goals 3 times this season. Hard to watch Yale tape right now. That Bulldog defense is reeling.
Coyle toward the cage, flag down, first penalty of the game.
Now Coyle paid the price. He's back up on his feet. They need Billy Coyle to stay healthy. With the injury to Michael Long, Coyle was the quarterback of this offense through the first half of this season. Penn's done a nice job staying out of the penalty box until then. They came into this game with 29 penalties. It's like 5 per game.
Number 45 blue, 2-minute illegal body check to the head.
Wow.
Wow, so 2-minute tells you it is a direct hit above the shoulders to that head and neck area. That's the new rule this year, the new wrinkle. Much like targeting in football, if it's indirect contact, it's a minute non-releasable. Direct is 2-minute. Flagrant is 3-minute with a possible ejection.
Penn's defense now, all of a sudden in this game, they're just playing tons of defense between the face-off issues they're having and now a 2-minute extra man.
And it's non-releasable. So the extra man for the full 2 minutes. Cornell 6 out of 15 with the man up this season. Lombardi a couple of fake passes, now gives it to Coyle, over to Kirst. Kelleher fakes the pass, Kirst back up top to Keller, over to the wing. Blake, Kelleher back to Blake, it gets away. 1:20 to go on the extra man. Cornell still looking for its first shot here. Kelleher thought about it, now Kirst. Left hand free, top shelf. He's got 5 back-to-back 5-goal games for the junior out of New Jersey.
That's classic. Cornell's extra man, okay? You expect to see like an extra man goal, a tic-tac-toe passing goal. Like CJ had enough, okay? CJ had enough of watching his teammates spin the ball around the outside. So he'll catch this on the corner and he dodges the man to get top side. That's like the most un-extra man goal you'll ever see. He had enough. He goes, you know, I need to take control here. His 5th.
It's a Thanos goal. I'll do it myself. And Cornell now will face off 3 versus 2. They still have the extra man. Big face-off win by Arcieri. And the way this game has gone, Quint, 4-1 Penn. Then Cornell went on an 8-1 run to take a 9-5 lead. Penn answers with 4 straight to tie it. And now 4 in a row by Cornell.
Clutch win by Arcieri, junior from Smithtown East on the island, who's missed 2 games this year.
Cornell this season, the big win against Yale last week on the road. They beat Ohio State on the road. Early season wins against Albany, Lehigh, and Hobart as well.
Shipley did a nice job in that dodge, getting out of trouble before the turnover.
Still a few seconds left on this man. And now we're back to even.
Cornell had to sub there. If there was more time on the clock, that would have been an opportunity for Busick to call timeout to save some time with the extra man.
Penn has played a lot of defense in this 3rd quarter. Blake feeds the wing. Coyle.
Broken stick by Coyle. He'll have to run off. Saw that 3 times yesterday watching games, and on 2 of the instances, it cost teams goals. Not sure what's going on with these shafts when you have short stick defensive middies cross-check people and their stick blows up. You need reliable shafts. You can't play defense. Your stick can't cost your team a goal. Fix the problem, Manish. Fix it.
What do you want me to do? Mullane against Wertheim. Lowers his body using the frame. Falls out. Adler vacuums. He's like a Tasmanian devil out there.
I love that kid Adler. I had him on my podcast early in the season. Man, you can feel his intensity. He's the type of defender that can play for me any day of the week. He's always engaged. There's no relaxing. There's no sloughing off. He's a pit bull. He's your dog, and he's on the leash, and it's always tight, and you're always having to pull him back. You're always having to pull him back. He's ready to go.
He's also an incredibly smart player. His head coach, Connor Busick, telling us he spends so much time in the film room probing the weaknesses and the points that he can exploit in the opposition.
Started as a young midfielder on the island. Ended up playing at Hewlett High School, which is a town over from where I grew up. But his feet and his hand placement.
That shot blocked off the cross by Lombardi. And Carroll now will try to set up the clear. Cornell was an elite riding team last year. They still are. Opponents clearing at just 81%. Penn clears at 95%. And that's exceptional.
It's a great number by Penn. So talked earlier about how they got some issues on the stat sheet.
How about Shipley? His second of the game, the Weddington Warrior. And Penn puts an end to this 4-0 Cornell run.
Shipley's played strong in this game. This is a split dodge with speed. Right to left, to the middle. Bury it. That's textbook. Strong hand to weak hand, no matter. Shoots it hard on the run from a good spot. Cornell caught kind of standing around on defense, not anticipating Shipley dicing his man so easily.
2 goals for Shipley today. He came into the game shooting 4 for 25 on the season. Cornell has won the majority of the draws. They win another.
We've seen Weddington guys now for a half a dozen years play high D1 level.
It is one of the premier public programs in the state of North Carolina. That's my backyard, Quint.
That's why I mentioned that.
Cornell was moving it around well. We come up on a minute to play in the third. Top 15 matchup in Ithaca. Coyle! Momentum taking him one way, the shot going the other, and he finds the back of the net. Second goal for Billy Coyle, 4-point game.
Tell you, look at Coyle. Look at Coyle, pound for pound, one of the toughest athletes on campus. I'd put him third, actually, behind Vito Arruja and Yanni Diakomahalis, NCAA championship wrestlers. Then there's Coyle. Look at this guy. He won't be denied. Left-handed, again, a split right to left, the 5'7" senior.
Where's Gavin Adler? Where's CJ Kirst in that mix?
Kirst is 4, Adler would be 5. Yanni won. Vito put on a show at Nationals.
Another chance. Kirst, hesitation. Can't get to that left hand. Lavelle recovered quickly.
You know what I learned this year at Nationals, Anish, besides the normal stuff? Like, upsets don't happen by trying to keep it close. Like, upsets happen by going for it and going big. Like, don't hope in lacrosse, don't hope to keep it close and make a run in the fourth quarter. Like, throw the first punch, take a lead, dictate. Like, nothing good ever happens trying to upset somebody. You swing big and go for it. Have a strategy.
I learned that moms versus eyeglasses, the mom is going to win every time. There's Coyle again on the rollback. Skip pass. Blake had a good look. Lombardi with the backup, 7 seconds to go in the third.
We could cue that video and say that's a goalie's mom every time the ball goes in the net, and just put it up in box after every goal.
One of the great scenes from the NCAA Wrestling Championship. It was the Iowa kid, right?
Yeah, Spencer Lee's mom, Kathy. Great wrestler, 3-time champion. Just couldn't get the fourth.
At the end of the third quarter, the score is...
We get the fourth. 3 quarters in the books in Ithaca. Cornell up 4 on Penn. In that third quarter, Penn only had 4 shots. They did score 3 times. It is a 4-goal lead by Cornell. Now, Penn has had runs of 4-0 and 4-1 in this game. It's far from over. Penn, 15 of its last 22 games have been decided by 2 goals or less. Very rarely does Penn play a game in which it does not come down to the final 2 minutes.
And they love overtime. 7-3 in 1-goal games in the last 2 years. 5-2 in OT. They got them right where they want them. Face-offs are an issue right now. Cornell's winning the majority.
Ethan Costanzo.
And you just worry about Penn's fatigue defensively, Anish. You know, it's just how many body punches can a defense take?
Well, they played defense for what seemed like the entire third quarter.
What, they have 3 offensive possessions in the entire quarter, Penn?
Maybe.
They shot the ball really well. It's kept them in reach. Penn's structure, they stay in their man-to-man. Again, they pack it in off the ball. Look at all the 5 guys off the ball, how tight they are to the crease.
Here comes Kirst. He's got 5 goals. Give him a sock trick.
How efficient has he been today? I mean, amount of touches versus points. This is in the Slim Reaper territory of least time ball and stick, most time name and scorebook. You got Farrar now playing short stick, 70 in blue. He's usually an LSM, so some switches in Penn, and Kirst feeds. He senses that's not the matchup that can stop him. Man, he's been good today. Been really clean in his game. Very few turnovers. Hasn't hogged the ball at all. He's let it come to him, and man, he's delivered.
6 goals on 8 shots. He has been about as sharp as Damascus steel. And Cornell continues to win the possession battle. They've won 19 out of 28 at the face-off X.
That's
Make
a new
it 20 out of 29.
It's a new sword maker for you this year, huh? You got away from your old brand?
Damascus steel. Have you ever seen a Damascus steel blade coated in ivory? Something special.
I got a new couch made of Corinthian leather.
There you go.
This week, smelling up my whole house.
Animals love it?
No. Been ruled off.
Well, that's good. That's good. Dalton took a hit from Farrar. Lombardi down the alley, back to Dalton, corrals the pass. Farrar looking to get into his hands. Dalton, a junior who scored in 5 of his last 6.
Yeah, very capable. Saw some PT last year down the stretch.
Look how tightly packed Penn is on defense. Coyle finding the cutter behind the back, Kirst. It comes to Penn. You just get the sense, Q. Penn has to be so efficient and maximize their possessions. It almost feels they've got to score every time they've got the ball on offense.
Because they're not winning face-offs. That is the case. That's exactly what I was going to say. And now is Hanley time. He's got to handle and be an initiator on this possession.
Here he comes. No, that is Mullane. Fury off the pipe. This is going to be a big race to the sideline. It'll stay with Penn.
Great hustle by Cam Rubin, 12 and blue.
Fury again. Down the alley on the shorty, looking for the crease man, and he threw it away.
Let's see what Penn rides here. Seen all sorts of long field shots against a 10-man going for goals yesterday, and you can't 10-man ride without ball pressure, okay? If you give a guy a look from 80 yards, he's going to put the ball in the empty net.
Penn able to ride it back.
Part of being in a 10-man ride includes ball pressure. What that does is it draws the ball carrier's eyes down, and he can't see the full field.
Mullane has his shot snuffed out by Erlin.
Very steady, hasn't he? Chase Erlin's been super steady today. Has not given up a soft goal.
And Cornell turns it over again. Quint, Penn this season has not been a big riding team. The team's clear against Penn at 91%. A lot of that is by design. They like to get back on defense. Now you're down 5, the calculus changes.
This is a game they probably should have. Well, they just haven't had the ball much because of faceoffs. But because of that, you'd like to invest maybe a little more heavily into your ride, knowing, hey, how can we make up a faceoff disparity?
Here's Hanley from distance. Oh, a Hercules blast from Sam Hanley.
He does something every game where it's just like, okay, I get it now. Like a reminder, pro player on the field playing college lacrosse. Just the power, the speed, and the accuracy here from distance. It's just like, okay, yeah, the 26, he's pretty good. That's right. Don't forget about him. You can feel.
That's not fair. That's not fair.
I know. Top center like that. Portland, Oregon. Good friends with Tucker Dordovic, who plays at Georgetown, and Alex Slusher, who plays at Princeton. Ross Scott having a nice year for Rutgers. They'll play tonight.
Petrakis the other way to Kirst. Lucky number 7 for CJ Kirst. How about the counter punch? How many times have we seen that today? Doesn't matter who's at the faceoff X. That's 2 or 3 goals now right off the faceoff win for Cornell.
I got Kirst now 7 goals, I think on 10 shots. The behind the back that hit off of Carroll. The face-off game has been had a huge impact here. Petrakis has done wonderful work. The senior from Massapequa, Long Island, who's an outstanding high school wrestler. You got Cascadden, who's come on and done well as well.
Both Petrakis and Cascadden have an assist today. Petrakis 11 of 14, Cascadden 10 of 14 facing off.
So I
now
got
Cornell can play keep away.
I got CJ Kirst, 7 goals on 10 shots, I think.
7 out of 10. Again, this is amazing when you think about Michael Long has only played in 1 game this season for Cornell. If he's healthy down the stretch, Q, this is a team that can certainly get back to where it was at the end of last year.
I agree. Cornell 5-1, big win over Yale last week. They backed that up with their performance today if they can hold on here. Lone loss to Penn State, a game that Connor Busick, their head coach, said was underwhelming. The transformation from that Penn State game, you plug it in. Penn State diced the Cornell defense with interior passing. Penn State looked pretty good. And then the transformation a week later against Yale was evident. But Cornell's other wins are against Ohio State, Hobart, Lehigh, and Albany. They still play Army non-conference, which will be a critical game as the Ivy Leagues just without great non-conference wins.
They'll wave the goal off at the crease.
Ivy League now 1-10 against the Big Ten and ACC combined. Yesterday, UMass beat Brown. Another result that's not going to help. That Ivy League tournament that we're covering the first weekend in May is going to be elimination lacrosse. quite honestly. This to me, this league is the champion gets in, gets the AQ, automatic qualifier, and you're looking at one, maybe two others, but I'd say one right now.
We had a lot of fun last year in Providence. There were some great crowds, the pizza, the Federal Hill, but you kind of had the sense if you lost, there wasn't a ton at stake. Really, teams were playing for seeding, not placement in the NCAA tournament. Not the case this year. And it should be a great scene too. Columbia, New York. You got New York City, where there's a big Ivy League alumni hub. Cornell, though, has separated itself. They've been the class of the Ivy. And if you start to look at the closing stretch, Quint, for Cornell, Dartmouth, Harvard, Marquette, Army, Brown, Princeton, they're going to be favored in every game the rest of the way. The Princeton game's at Cornell.
Yeah, Princeton's a team in the Ivy League that I think will get better from here until that Ivy League tournament. I think they have upside. Yale's defense right now is just struggling to a degree that I just don't trust them. And I think Penn is rock solid and tough and will figure things out and scrap their way to Columbia as a semifinalist. And it wouldn't surprise me if one of those semifinal games are, their elimination, they're playing games. It's a Friday night, May 5th, I believe.
Yeah, that first weekend in May. Kirst on the doorstep, can't handle the pass. Down he goes, the shot clock will reset, so they'll call that a shot. Ooh, out of bounds to Cornell.
Really a pleasure talking to CJ on Friday. He brings a smile, doesn't he? He always packs a smile. For a young man who lost his dad when he's 12, I draw strength.
The last couple of years, we've had a real chance to get to know that family. His brother Colin, who played goalie at Rutgers, mom Michelle, and just a breath of fresh air. Given all that they've been through, there is a feeling of gratitude. They uplift those around them. It's fun to see.
Yeah, no, it's rubbed off on me, quite honestly.
Yeah, you're as cynical as they come.
See, now CJ is so positive. He's so forward-looking. Guess who?
Sam Hanley. I mean, Quint, it's just if I want to, I can, and he did.
No, I know. Again, there's a superhero on the field that says, okay, it's your time in the show here. Before we go to commercial break, you got to do something crazy. And here's Hanley, covered by Adler, who's in good spot. Look at Adler digging in, trying his best, and Hanley just leans through him and says, I'm getting my right hand, turn and rake.
It was me the whole time!
Well done, ma'am.
What did I do exactly?
With Snapshot from Progressive, you get a personalized discount for doing exactly what you're already doing, being a safe driver.
Congratulations.
This is a bowling trophy.
Yeah, it's the biggest one they had.
Okay, thanks.
Oh, and beginner.
Seven goals today for CJ Kirst and Quint. It's the finish, and then also just the way he plays on the field. There's a vocal temperament. There's an emotional component. His team rallies around a CJ Kirst goal. His goals seem to be juice goals for Cornell.
Scored twice right-handed today, and he told us that He's put in the extra time to develop his offhand. He's a natural lefty. It just amazes me how often he can set up his rollback to get topside, to play to his strengths. I think he's a young man who's acutely aware of his advantages, his power, his quickness, his acceleration. But then what we're seeing now as a junior, I think we're seeing some of the leadership component really surface here, okay? I don't think last year's team was his team. I think he was the best player on that team that played for a championship, but from a leadership standpoint, that wasn't his team. This is his team now. He's the alpha of this group, and I think his work ethic, his attitude, his vocal leadership will direct this ship from here on.
A breakout player last year is the Ivy Rookie of the Year. He's the front runner this year for Ivy Player of the Year, and frankly, potentially more. He's going to be on the short list for the Tewaaraton. He came in leading the nation in goals per game at 4.5. And he scored 7 today. Coyle against Bond. Flag down. Shot clock running down, and Quint, there's a Rob Pennell-like alpha quality in C.J. Kirst this season as well. Don't you see that?
I do. You know, Pennell, Cornell's program has forever been defined by world-class attackmen, dating back to Eamon McEnany, Timmy Goldstein, Pennell, Jeff Teat. And there you see it. He's got the ball on his stick, and he's spending time to, couldn't tell if that was a positive or negative feedback to a teammate. It probably was positive, but more demonstrative, more vocal.
That was too easy. Coyle to Andrew Dalton. 7th of the season for the Big Red Rifle.
Extra man, little. He's got 2 guys inside. Penn thinks their coverage is suitable there. It's not. He's just wide open. That's as easy as it gets.
The Cornell goal was
man down defense starts on the inside. You've got to account for the interior players first, and then you worry about the perimeter secondary.
And now for Penn, down 5 with 4 minutes to go. Critical possession. Now, do they get 5 more possessions from here on out? Now, they've been on defense for the majority of the second half. Bond had the backup off the shot from Shipley.
Cornell has called the timeout.
Timeout by Cornell, 3:50 to go in the 4th. Cornell in control of this game. Quint, they're on the verge of going to 6-1, and we talked about it pregame. You start to look at a pecking order in college lacrosse. There is a group of 4 to 5 contenders. Cornell's very much in that mix.
Yeah, my pecking order is going to start with Virginia next week in my poll, but Cornell's going to come in at 5 if they can, hold on and salt this game away behind teams like Maryland, Notre Dame, and Duke, and then there's Cornell. And to me, those 5, Anish, have earned separation from the pack, and to me those are the most viable championship contenders right now. Looking at Cornell's schedule, I see this team rattling off win after win after win, and being a top 5 seed in the NCAA tournament if they can continue to improve. I think the big question marks with Cornell are going to be the health of Michael Long, their quarterback on attack. They're doing this today without Long, which bodes well for a healthy roster.
You start to try to make shape of the at-large field as well, right? We said out of the Ivy, you've got the AQ, maybe one, maybe two others. There's still some season left to play. The ACC right now looks to be three certains with Duke, Virginia, Notre Dame, North Carolina should be in the mix. The Big Ten, obviously you've got Maryland. Johns Hopkins has been resurgent this year. They've got a top 10 RPI. Ohio State's got work to do. Rutgers, with all those pieces that they lost, their only losses to Army.
Yeah, the reality is that Johns Hopkins and Penn, and let's say North Carolina, will be vying for a very similar spot, okay? Penn beat Georgetown, so did Hopkins. Penn beat St. Joe's, so did Hopkins. Penn beat Princeton. We'll see how that win stacks up. Just interesting comparisons of like teams from different leagues.
Now, the issue with Princeton right now is RPI. And again, we know what Princeton has coming back. We watch the games. We see the games. Princeton hasn't lost to anybody that you would consider a bad loss. But based on RPI right now, they entered the weekend in the 30s. I believe they're in the 20s now. So the Princeton win doesn't give you as much juice as you would maybe think on paper. And for all the people out there saying, well, they beat this team and this team, at the end of the day, we've seen this in the past so many times, Quint. I try not to make too much of the polls anymore. The committee defaults to RPI. That's what they do.
Yes, and with that being said, interesting
Coyle
shot by
scores
Coyle.
another.
Yeah, Carroll kind of loses his bearings here. His angle play is not ideal. But that being said, Princeton's the type of team where every league game this year matters dramatically. They have to get into that Ivy League tournament, okay? And once they're going to have to win at least one game. They don't have any kind of resume right now and until this weekend, until that win over Yale. That's their first kind of bullet point on their resume. Otherwise, it's a Mercer win and a Manhattan win, I think. And so they got to get to New York, and they got to do some damage in New York. That's the type of team, they lose the semifinal game, bye-bye, summer's on, go get your golf times.
Yeah, here is the potential challenge for Princeton. Look at their upcoming schedule. Brown, Syracuse, Dartmouth, Harvard. The way those four teams have played and the RPIs of those four teams, I'm not sure that gives you a bump. Now, they finished the season at Cornell. Princeton, even with the Yale win, might be in a position where it's AQ or bust.
See the graphic, the RPI comparison. Currently, the left-hand column is what you want to focus on this season. Cornell leading the Ivy, number 6 in the country in terms of their RPI. Penn plays just as tough a schedule as anybody. They're 13 prior to this game. Princeton's going to work their way up, but how much, I don't know. And then you got teams like Brown. Can't beat UMass. Not going to help the league. And just a dramatic comparison to last year when 6 of those teams in East made the playoffs?
6 were in, and again, there were some surprises in there. Harvard, for example, did not have anywhere close to the RPI that Duke or Notre Dame had.
That was my only criticism last year. Harvard was not a playoff team. They showed up at Rutgers and got blown off the field. They've done nothing this year to change that opinion. All Notre Dame has done is gone, what, 8-1 since
Scorched
then.
earth. Yeah, lost to Virginia yesterday.
Duke's
they had
9-1
to win against Maryland.
Duke's 9-1 since then.
And I want to clarify, because RPI's out there. Duke is number 1 in the RPI. Part of that is they've played more games than anybody else.
Yeah, they get credit for being 9-1. Duke's pretty good, though. Plug in their tape, Anish. You will plug in their tape because we're covering Duke and Virginia on Friday. 5 o'clock, we'll be on site. Man, the environment at some of these games. Nice save by her. The environment, Anish. The environment in Klockner last week for that Maryland game was off the charts. The environment at Arlotta yesterday was amazing. This is awesome as the weather turns.
Yeah, we're starting to get those juice games, crowds engaged. Should be fun on Friday night in Charlottesville. Duke and Virginia, likely a top 3, top 4 matchup. What do you think? Virginia's the new number 1 again?
I think so, yeah.
And then who do you have as 2? Maryland, Notre Dame, Duke?
Wow. I got Notre Dame as 2. Notre Dame's got the head-to-head over Maryland, and Maryland lost to Loyola. How? I don't know. That game exists in some kind of galaxy. One of those books on your shelf, one of those sci-fi books on your shelf can explain how Loyola beat Maryland.
2 words, February lacrosse.
Yeah, and Maryland's going to get credit because there's no difference when it comes down to the committee between February lacrosse
Right. You're right.
and late April lacrosse. Recency is not a criteria. Impressive by Cornell today. 18 goals, especially with the absence of Michael Long, the quarterback. What can you say about C.J. Kirst? This is as good of a show as we've seen him. 7 goals and 10 shots. He was amazingly efficient, dominant with the ball on his cross.
Last year, Cornell surprised a lot of folks with its run to Memorial Day and nearly pulled off one of the great upsets in the NCAA tournament. Down 9-2 in the championship. Roared back to 9-7. Maryland was on tired legs. And if that game had lasted another 2 minutes, we might be talking about a different narrative in the offseason. This Cornell team, with the target on its back, with the weight of expectations, has delivered. Now 6-1, a top 5 program by every standard, and Quint, a bona fide contender.
And I think what you look for today is being solid up the middle. Chase Erlin, their goaltender, not a huge volume of saves, but quality. The face-off game with Angelo Petrakis and Jack Kaskadden ultimately may have made the difference here, because I thought they tilted the possession battle in their favor and Penn kind of wore out.
C.J. Kirst tallies 7 goals for the Big Red. Cornell dominates at the face-off X, winning 24 out of 34. They dominate the possession battle,